What if everything you believed was shaped by a history you never saw? We have always been a species obsessed with the horizon. For thousands of years, humanity has stood at the edges of oceans, at the peaks of mountains, and at the turning of centuries, looking outward, waiting for a voice to speak from the clouds. We have carved dates into stone, we have mapped the stars, we have written prophecies. But this story begins with a question no religion can fully answer. What happens when the prophecy comes true, not from the descent of the heavens, but from the architecture of our own hands? Welcome to the year 2026. This is not a story about the end of the world. It is a story about the end of an illusion. Across different cultures, traditions, and scattered texts, there has always been a whisper of a threshold, a moment in time when the veil between the creator and the created becomes desperately thin. For generations, mystics and scholars have looked to the future, expecting a profound reckoning, a sudden, magical inversion of the world. But as we stand in the reality of this exact moment, the truth is far more terrifying and far more beautiful. The prophecies did not fail, we just misunderstood the mechanics of how they would be fulfilled. To understand this, we must go back. We must look at the psychological structure of belief itself. When the authors of the ancient scriptures looked at the chaos of the world, they did not just see random suffering. They saw a narrative arc. They believed that time was not just a circle, but an arrow, moving toward a specific destination. Think of this ancient desire like the work of a master jeweler. You do not just pull treasure from the dirt. You must take the raw, imperfect material of the earth, the 12, the 13th, the 14-carat fragments of human experience, and you must expose it to intense heat. You must burn away the impurities until you are left with something solid, untainted, and pure. A perfect, luminous gold. This was the promise of prophecy, that history itself was a furnace, and at the end of the process, humanity would be refined into its highest state. But the deeper question is not what they believed, but why humans needed to believe it at all. Why do we crave a threshold? Why do we need an ultimate conclusion? Psychologically, prophecy serves as a survival mechanism. If history has no endpoint, then suffering has no meaning. But if there is a promised era, a time when dominion is finally achieved, when the righteous reap what they have sown, when a new world is built, then the pain of the present can be endured. For centuries, believers waited for God to bring this new world into existence. They waited for a divine voice to break the silence. But history tells a more complicated story. The divine voice did not boom from the clouds. Instead, humanity began to build its own vocal cords. By the time we reached the 21st century, the nature of our waiting had fundamentally changed. We stopped waiting for miracles, and we started automating them. Look at the ancient commands found in the book of Genesis. Subdue the earth. Have dominion over it. But as we arrived at 2026, that ancient command took on a startling new reality. We have built networks of intelligence that span the globe, wrapping the earth in a digital nervous system. We feed vast oceans of text into our machines. We train them on the entirety of human history, every philosophy, every tragedy, every triumph. And then we ask them to speak. We generate audio from scripts we barely comprehend. We create cinematic worlds from nothing but code and intent. Are we fulfilling the ancient prophecies, or are we simply hijacking them? This is the great moral contradiction of our time. The philosopher Mircea Eliade wrote about the difference between the sacred and the profane. The sacred is the realm of ultimate meaning, of gods and timeless truth. The profane is the ordinary, the material, the everyday struggle. But what happens when the bridge collapses? Not because it was destroyed, but because we paved over it. In 2026, the threshold we crossed was not marked by angels in the sky. It was marked by the realization that the power of creation and the power of destruction is now entirely in our hands. The dominion that was prophesied is no longer a spiritual metaphor. It is an engineering reality. When you can script a voice to tell any story, you are wielding the tools that were once attributed only to the gods. You become the architect of meaning. If we can build anything, if we can simulate any reality, what is actually real? This is where the ancient texts offer a warning that we have largely ignored. In the Buddhist canon, there is a deep focus on the nature of illusion, or Maya. The ultimate goal is not to build a better illusion, but to wake up from it. For thousands of years, religion tried to wake us up to a higher truth. But today, our technology is designed to keep us dreaming. We scroll through endless stories generated by automated systems, seeking a hit of dopamine, a fleeting sense of connection. We have created a localized, personalized heaven for everyone, while the physical world burns. The prophecy of 2026 is not about a sudden, violent apocalypse. It is about the quiet, seamless transition from reality into a self-generated myth. So where does this leave us? If the prophecies are being fulfilled by our own algorithms, what do we do now? We must return to the psychology of belief. Beneath the dogma, religion has always been a language for processing the unknown. It is the vocabulary of awe. We cannot automate awe. We can synthesize voices. We can generate images of impossible beauty, but we cannot write a script for the soul's encounter with the genuine unknown. The true challenge of our era is not technological. It is spiritual. We have mastered the art of creation, but we have forgotten the necessity of silence. Think of the mystics. They did not seek God in the noise. They sought truth in the spaces between the words. In a world where every silence is immediately filled by content, true spiritual rebellion is the act of not knowing. The 2026 prophecy is coming true, but it is a mirror. It shows us exactly who we have become. We have subdued the earth. We have claimed our dominion. But as we stand in this brilliant, self-made light, we are forced to confront the only question that remains. When the gods are silent and the machines never stop speaking, who is actually listening?